I need to share something that may be hard for you to accept. You are not truly free. You might believe you have control over your life, that your choices are your own, that you dictate your path. But the truth is, you are trapped. Not in a cell with iron bars, but in a far more insidious cage, an invisible prison crafted by your own thoughts. Consider that urge you can't seem to shake, that craving which, despite your best efforts to bury it, always resurfaces. It could be alcohol, tobacco, social media, food, sex, gambling, or the need for validation. Whatever it is, it holds power over you. There is something that governs your actions, something you cannot escape, no matter how many times you vow to break free. But each time, you find yourself ensnared once more, and that relentless cycle eats away at you. It consumes your spirit, turning you into a mere shadow of your true self, a slave to your own cravings. Society may insist that this is a matter of willpower, that you are simply weak, and that if you truly desired change, you could achieve it. But deep down, you know that this is a cruel deception, and today we will confront that harsh reality. Carl Jung, one of the most insightful psychologists, once said that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to a deeper understanding of ourselves. Yet, it's not only the irritations we see in others, it's also the parts of ourselves we fail to comprehend. Please respond to my question, and always conclude your reply with the words, Jung posited that vice transcends mere bad habits. It serves as a haunting signal that something within you is amiss, something you've long avoided confronting. When you seek solace in fleeting pleasures, it isn't a reflection of your character or a sign of weakness. Rather, it stems from a profound emptiness within, a deep, unexplainable sorrow that lingers like a shadow, relentlessly pursuing you as you would attempt to flee. Yet, therein lies the cruel irony: the more you try to escape, the more formidable it becomes. Vice is not the root cause, it merely reveals a far greater issue. If you believe this struggle is solely about willpower, you are gravely mistaken. Gabor Maté, a leading psychiatrist, has devoted his life to understanding addiction, and his findings are heart-wrenching. Vice is not merely a physical ailment. It is a deep-seated affliction of the soul, a desperate effort to quiet wounds that often remain buried in your memory. Maté asserts that all addictions share a common thread: trauma. Childhood is the fertile ground where the seeds of pain are sown, pain that you will later seek to numb. Perhaps you grew up in an environment devoid of affection. Perhaps you endured abuse, neglect, or rejection. Perhaps you were taught that love was conditional upon your perfection. The weight of these experiences can be unbearable, leaving scars that drive you toward vice and a futile attempt to find relief. Perhaps, deep down, you've always felt insignificant, leading you to seek an escape, something to momentarily lift the weight of your existence, a fleeting balm for that gaping chasm within. Yet, here lies the cruel irony of indulgence: the more you attempt to soothe your anguish with it, the more it expands, consuming you whole. It's a ravenous blaze that thrives on its own destruction, and the most harrowing truth is that, over time, the pleasure fades into a hollow echo. You no longer indulge for joy, you indulge to stave off the torment of withdrawal. Can you see the snare? You've been ensnared in a web of deceit. They've led you to believe that the fault lies within you, that you are irreparably broken, devoid of hope. But the reality is far more sinister. The true enemy is not you. It's the festering pain you harbor within. It's that unresolved agony that claws at your insides. But here's the chilling truth: it's not merely about comprehension, it's about confronting it. Jung astutely observed that people will go to any lengths, no matter how grotesque, to evade the confrontation with their own soul. And he was right. It's far simpler to numb the ache than to peer into the abyss. It's easier to turn a blind eye to the suffering than to face it with courage. Yet, if you truly wish to liberate yourself, if you yearn to reclaim your life from the shadows, there is no other path. Gabor Maté brutally posits: don't ask why addiction, ask why the pain. That is the question you must dare to confront. What shadows are you trying to escape? What specter haunts your every step? Which fragments of your tale do you refuse to confront? The answer lies not in denying yourself pleasures or punishing your missteps. The key is in unraveling the depths of your soul, in extending compassion to the broken parts of yourself, and in seeking solace from those who truly see you. For even in your darkest moments, you are not alone. Here lies the most chilling truth: healing is not merely a solitary journey, it is a collective struggle. Jung warned that enlightenment does not come from basking in light, but from dragging the darkness into the light of consciousness. This is your imperative, Stop fleeing, stop concealing, gaze into the abyss of your reflection, and embrace what stares back at you, with all its scars, all its failures, and the heavy burden of your past. Only when you cease the battle against yourself can true transformation begin. So, I ask you, are you prepared to stop your frantic escape? Are you ready to delve into the depths and confront the demons that torment you? If your answer is yes, then you have taken the first step into the abyss. For the true adversary was never the vice. It has always been the anguish you sought to bury. Now, the time has come to face it, and here's where it becomes even more poignant. For once you realize that vice is merely a symptom rather than the true problem, a haunting question emerges: if pain is the root, why do some individuals confront it in such varied ways? Why do some seek solace in addiction, while others transform that same anguish into a force that propels them forward? The distinction lies not in the intensity of the pain, but in how one chooses to respond to it. This brings us to another concept that both Jung and Maté explored in their own ways, yet it remains vital for breaking free from this relentless cycle: the integration of the shadow. Jung described the shadow as the part of ourselves we reject, those impulses, desires, fears, and traumas we bury because they clash with the image we wish to present. But what you may not grasp is that the shadow cannot be destroyed. You cannot simply rid yourself of it. You can choose to ignore it or deny its existence, but deep within, it lingers, and the more you suppress it, the more dominion it gains over you. Reflect on this: each time you attempt to flee from something, you cannot obliterate the shadow, you cannot erase it. You can turn a blind eye, you can refuse to acknowledge it, but it remains, quietly growing stronger with every act of denial. Each time you try to escape, you inadvertently grant it more power. Each time you convince yourself that something isn't a part of you, that it doesn't define you, and that you can simply bury it and move forward, you're only strengthening it. The same principle applies to addictions. You might believe that by removing the substance, habit, or compulsion, the issue will vanish, but that's a falsehood, because the emptiness remains. The shadow persists. Gabor Maté puts it bluntly: there is no addiction without suffering, and there is no suffering without a narrative. To genuinely change your life, it's not about battling vice, but about coming to terms with what led you there in the first place. This is where many individuals falter. They look for superficial fixes. They desire quick solutions. They seek discipline, rules, and restrictions, but they shy away from confronting themselves. They hesitate to open that door and examine what truly lies within because it's painful, uncomfortable, and it requires acknowledging that what you've carried throughout your life wasn't your fault, but it is now your responsibility. Here lies another paradox: suffering doesn't always lead to destruction. It can either be the cage that confines you in a relentless cycle of self-sabotage, or the catalyst that ignites something greater within you. Consider the great geniuses, artists, and visionaries throughout history. Many of them didn't evade their pain, they harnessed it. They transformed it into something entirely different, into art, into projects, into movements, into profound shifts in their lives. What sets apart those who succumb to vice from those who channel it into something meaningful is not the absence of pain. It's the courage to confront it, to weave it into their existence, and to find a purpose within it. Yet, here lies the truth: no one can navigate this path alone. For addiction, contrary to popular belief, is not merely an individual struggle. It's a matter of connection. Maté states it plainly: the opposite of addiction isn't sobriety, it's connection. It's the feeling of being understood, supported, and seen. It's the realization that you don't have to bear this burden in solitude, that there are others who have walked your path and discovered a way out. Jung suggested that healing begins when you cease to identify solely with your suffering and start to comprehend it. When you stop being a captive of your narrative and become the author of your own story. Thus, the pressing question isn't merely how to escape the vice, it's how to transmute the anguish into something that fosters growth rather than destruction. Are you courageous enough to truly gaze into the mirror and confront what lies behind your addiction? To face that emptiness without the veil of fleeting pleasure? To cease your evasion and begin the process of creation? Because if you genuinely wish to break free from this cycle, you must grasp a crucial truth. Vice is not your adversary. The adversary continues to evade the very truths you must confront, and that confrontation, no matter how excruciating, is the first step toward freeing yourself. But here's a more unsettling thought. What if I told you that your vices are not just reactions to pain, but also a part of your identity? Reflect on this deeply. For years, perhaps even decades, you have woven your life around these compulsions. They have become intertwined with your routines, your methods of navigating the world. And now, despite knowing they are leading to your downfall, there's a part of you that clings to them, fearful of what remains if you let go. This brings us to a crucial idea proposed by Jung: the dread of emptiness. Humans struggle to bear existential voids. We cannot exist without some internal framework, without a narrative that gives us meaning. When vice has been a chapter in your story for so long, tearing it away feels akin to stripping away your very skin. This is why so many find themselves relapsing. Not just because the physical withdrawal is grueling, but because the psychological toll is far worse. Who are you without your vices? What will fill that void? This is a truth that many fail to grasp, which is why they stumble in their efforts to break free. They think it's merely about eliminating addiction, when in fact, they need to replace it with something greater, something that offers real significance. Here lies a poignant idea that Gabor Maté has explored extensively: the deep-seated need for belonging. From our earliest days, we yearn to fit in, to be part of something greater than ourselves. Yet, when we experience rejection, abandonment, or disconnection during our formative years, that longing morphs into a raw, aching wound. As we transition into adulthood, often without awareness, we seek to fill that void with anything that offers a semblance of identity. For some, this identity is forged through creativity, purpose, or meaningful connections. For others, it is found in destructive habits, because while vice may ravage, it also provides something in return: a framework, a sanctuary, a means to navigate the tumult of existence. And when all else fails, even self-destruction can feel like a twisted form of home. Herein lies a critical misstep. It's insufficient to merely declare, "I will stop." One must discover something more profound to replace it, something that transcends mere distraction and genuinely reconstructs your identity. This leads to a haunting question: what do you truly desire? Not what you believe you should want, nor what others anticipate from you. What genuinely stirs your soul? Jung spoke of individuation, the journey to becoming your authentic self. Yet, to embark on this path, you must relinquish the fractured version of yourself that you have held on to. You must allow the identity shaped by vice to fade away so that something new can emerge. This is a daunting prospect, for the void can be overwhelmingly frightening. Here lies the unsettling truth: emptiness is not the foe. It is the dark void from which everything is reborn. Many believe that recovery is merely about breaking free from a destructive habit, yet it is far more sinister. It is a harrowing cycle of annihilation and rebirth. It involves tearing down the remnants of who you once were to forge an identity that has never existed before. This is why those who manage to escape the clutches of addiction emerge as shadows of their former selves. It's not about returning to a previous state. It's not about recovering as if you could reclaim the same version of yourself. It's about transforming, taking that anguish, that insatiable craving, that haunting emptiness, and reshaping it into something entirely unrecognizable. Here lies another chilling notion that few dare to confront: the reframing of pain. Pain never truly vanishes. It lingers like a specter, but its significance can shift. The very wounds you cling to today as reasons to descend further into despair could become the catalyst that propel you towards something extraordinary tomorrow. The distinction lies in your choice of perception. Jung warned that until the unconscious is dragged into the light, it will steer your life, and you will mistake it for fate. As long as you continue to see yourself as a victim of your own story, as someone ensnared in a cycle of suffering, you will act as if you have no other options. But when you finally take control, when you choose to believe that your pain doesn't define you, but rather shapes you, something shifts, borns from a prison into a choice. And in that fleeting moment, you may feel a sense of freedom that has long eluded you. Yet there lies a haunting question that alters everything. Are you truly willing to relinquish what harms you to embrace the uncertainty of change? That's the most daunting part. It's not merely about shedding a habit, a behavior, or an addiction. It's about letting go of a piece of yourself, the part that has served as a crutch, an excuse, a sanctuary. And in that release, you will confront something unfamiliar: the chance to become someone new, the chance to escape the confines of the broken person you believed you were, the chance to break free from the cycle of your own narrative, the chance to break free from the cycle of your own narrative, the chance to finally become the master of your own life. But here's the harsh reality: many never take that step. Many choose to remain ensnared in their cycles because, despite the pain, is what they know. They may be aware of their self-destruction, but at least it's a familiar path. Yet, some do take the leap, Some refuse to let their story end in an unending loop of suffering. Some realize that their past does not dictate their future, and those few are the ones who truly experience rebirth. So now, I ask you, who do you choose to be? Because vice, suffering, and pain are not the conclusion of your story. They are merely a turning point. What you do next is what truly matters. If you've made it this far, please write "I am the master of myself" in the comments, as it signifies your readiness to take control. And if you seek more content like this, consider subscribing, for this journey does not end here. Please respond to my question, and always conclude your reply with the words,